Welcome to WBC Faster Together, the LinkedIn Live series of Women Business Collaborative. I'm Gwen Young, the CEO of WBC. WBC is an unprecedented alliance of over 85 women business organizations and hundreds of business leaders, building a movement to achieve equal position, pay, and power for all women in business. Through collaboration, advocacy, action, and accountability, we are mobilizing thousands to create momentum and accelerate the pace of change. WBC lives its commitment to DEI, and members of our leadership, staff, board of directors, and our WBC champions include more than 34% people of color. And every one of our 4 action initiatives has DEI goals for 2025 and 2030. So please check the chat so you can see the areas through which we aim to accelerate change, and join our movement at wbcollaborative.org. Each week in the Faster Together series, we offer different ways to advocate change and accelerate impact by presenting data, research, and best practices, by lifting up the power of women's voices for change, and by showcasing leaders committed to allyship, inclusivity, and driving corporate purpose. So today, I'm thrilled to be joined by 2 of our corporate sponsors and amazing entrepreneurs, because we know that entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses are a critical part of the economic ecosystem and the WBC community. So each year, women-owned businesses generate approximately $2.7 trillion in revenue. And yet we continue to face challenges as they work to grow their company and their competitive advantage. So as a collaborative, WBC is committed to bringing together women-owned businesses and capital investors to change the landscape. And we do that by engaging with leaders like the 2 here today for today's conversation. So I'm excited to be joined by Dr. Dionne Laslo-Baker, the founder and CEO of Deebees Organics, and Dr. Renette Dallas, the founder and CEO of Life by Dallas, to share the journey of their companies and how they've intentionally grown and scaled their business. So Renette and Dionne, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And thanks for having us.
We are thrilled to have you. So why don't I have you all set the stage? Renette, I'm going to start with you to talk about kind of your journey. What led you to start Life by Dallas? What's been the most exciting thing? And how have you overcome sort of the biggest challenges as you built your business and your commitment to corporate purpose?
Well, my journey has been a little different than most people's journey. It was based on me being sick with tuberculosis for almost 6 months and having to switch to a holistic healing regimen to literally keep from dying. And I was so impressed with the conclusion of that I wanted everyone to know that. Literally thought that I could change the health paradigm for those in underserved communities and get rid of obesity, heart disease, and diabetes simply by educating people on the close connection of nutrition and illness. And it didn't go exactly how I intended. And I think this is an important wisdom point for individuals in business, is that though I had a plan and a strategy, the customer base had a different idea. And it was important to listen to them. I had a green drink that helped heal me in less than 6 days. I was better than I was for the entire 6 months, and literally better than I had been for the 32 years at that time I had been living. No one wanted to do that. They kept saying they needed to be chewing on something. I can't do a liquid diet, et cetera, et cetera. And so we took people where they were and said, okay, how can we take 9 out of 10 Americans snacking 2.5 times a day to something better? Let's get a better for you health snack. So my entire DNA for starting a business was to try and educate consumers on how to improve their lifestyle choices and eventually their health through nutrition. And we've stayed true to that holistic core principle, which has made what most people find as challenges in business, to me, just a part of the process. And so that has kept me encouraged and motivated to just stick with the holistic approach in everything we do. There has to be balance. And that's been very helpful in achieving ultimate success, because we've made our customer the centric value. And then that in turn delivers a level of loyalty like nothing else, and word of mouth. So
love that. The centric. Dionne, I want to bring you into the conversation.
Yeah, and I love hearing, thank you for that really interesting evolution to kind of get to where we are today. For me, I I'm actually a PhD in an area of research called maternal fetal toxicology. So I studied the impact of health in children exposed to different things during pregnancy.
Mhm.
Um, and so I really expected to be going through life as an academic and a research scientist. That was the goal I had in mind and where I kind of saw my journey going. So sometimes, you get sidelined, you get distracted by something very shiny and cool. I was in the kitchen with my two kids. One was drinking tea, the other was making popsicles, and they were arguing over who was going to do what with mom. And my daughter said, let's make teasicles. And
Mhm.
we no longer make that product at all, but I had a moment where that light bulb went off, and this flash of like I could create a company that has two real pillars. One is that we create products that have no artificial ingredients and are led by organic ingredients, because I was studying the impact of pesticides and herbicides on human health, which is extremely significant as adults and children, and to the farmers exposed. And while doing that, build a meaningful side. What does it mean as a mom to build a business? And that was became our mission and our dream launcher about giving. And so, really, just a mom-centric research scientist's way of building a business. I had never taken a business class in my life, and which made it hard. But on the other hand, I did it differently, and I did it by what my gut told me to do instead of what a book told me to do, which is the way I had learned till then.
I
And then
love
I
that.
built
And
an
you're,
organic.
sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, I wanted to hear about the B Corp certification, right? Because that's another aspect of your business and intentionality. Talk about kind of what that means and what that brings for you.
Sure. So B Corp, so we are an organic natural food snack company. And B Corp for us, I was at a trade show, Natural Products Expo West, in Anaheim in 2014. And I was meandering around, and it was, early days of Deebees. And I came upon a little booth for B Corp. And I kind of looked at it and went, oh, well, this is everything we are. It's funny that there's a certification for everything I did to start the business. And pretty much overnight, we became one of Canada's first B corporations, certified B Corps. And it was very organic because it pretty much hit every single thing we were already doing. And we've lived by that. And, the barometer of success for me is, would I be proud to tell my children and my family this is how I'm doing business? So it was a very organic happening upon becoming a B Corp. And then we've lived by it.
Fits the values. And tell us, with you as well, you believe holistic medicine as part of healthcare reform. And as you've scaled, and talk about your operational model and how you do kind of that same thing, stay committed to your core belief and fundamental values.
Well, it's interesting that Dee said that about being B Corp, because as we begin to move into ESG being a big thing, I'm like, well, we are ESG, and we are definitely the S in ESG. But just like Dionne, we started something to reach people and to improve the lives of people. And so for me, I said from day one, when we were just healthcare, we're starting to watch the trends and the absorbent cost on the country with diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. Predominantly, when I started in 1999, was in the African American community, but now that's a global problem. Everybody's dealing with this, and it's a very close relationship with cancer. And when you look at a room of 10 individuals, 6 of them will be diagnosed with cancer, and 4 of them will die of cancer. To me, that's unacceptable, especially when 70% of that is preventable based on the choices that we make. So for me to be able to promote a product that is simply a better for you snack product with American snacking so often, you have to keep that as your core value of everything. And if that remains the same, I say that healthcare prevention starts with education. And a lot of times we just don't know what's in our foods, whether it's the pesticides or just the combination of foods that makes an individual ill. So our program is constantly educating. And to educate, we've had to write books, we've had to do extensive videos, and all of these things promote business. This has been key to our success in scaling up, is because people are talking about what we're doing because of the effect that it's had on our customer base. Yes, the financial dollars have been there, but more importantly, the people have improved their lives as a result of the products and services that we offer. So we're very proud of that. And that keeps you in business forever. And it also makes you not feel like you're working. You know, you're doing the better for man. And whenever you're doing that, you're going to be successful. And so we keep that. We believe it. I think too, when everybody says, "What's your why? What's your mission in life?" You have to be authentic to that. That mission isn't a mission that allows me to make X amount of dollars per year. That mission is the core of who I am and what I believe. And if I believe that, it's going to be difficult for me to deviate from those principles when I'm trying to scale my business up. And I believe that that integrity allows you to always be successful, and it will open doors that no one else can open for you.
Love that. I want to pull another thread of the commonality between kind of both of yours commitment to living your values, doing what's natural, being authentic, not just in what you do from an industry, but the science piece of this, right? Both of you have sort of science backgrounds. How important has that been, and how does that tie in? How do you use that in talking about what and how you're doing things?
Do you want to go, Dallas?
You can go. You've got the.
For me, it really has tied everything in. It's all about what is the impact on human health of anything that we put in our bodies, and really educating people on how you analyze something from a scientific perspective. You don't have to be a scientist, but how do you look at the information? How do you know what truth is? I mean, that truth is right now in a very word that can be used in many contexts, but it really is looking at the evidence, looking at the source, and why are we making decisions in terms of our food and how we build businesses. And so I've kind of applied all of my learnings to be a scientist and a researcher to how I built the business. Even kind of who I've surrounded myself with, and being humble enough to understand that the more you learn, and I'm sure, Dallas, you can relate to this, the more you learn, the more you realize what you don't know. And that you put people around you, and you have an access to people. And actually, Marjorie Krause was someone who really was instrumental. And I've always had a board of advisors, and now we have an advisory council as well, which Marjorie talked to me about, because there's nothing as important as having advisors. So for me, and as a researcher and as a student, you have many around you. So it's really in every crevice of what we do.
And for me, I started out, I don't know if a lot of people know that once I got sick, it changed the entire trajectory of my career. But I started out in engineering. So I actually got my first degree into architecture. And I was impressed that I could design a building, but I was a little disappointed that I was clueless as to how the building stood up structurally. So I went back to get a degree in civil engineering. And that completed an understanding of how a building is transformed. And so with health, it's important to me that individuals hear that, yes, you should eat lots of raw fruits and vegetables on a daily basis, but why? So it's always important to complete. Again, we talk about holistic in the sense of a balance in the mind, body, and spirit, but that holistic approach needs to be into everything that we do in life. And so when you look at your business growth and the success of your business, you cannot disconnect the revenue with the customer support and what it means, their feedback. And overall, for me, it's the health outcomes. Are my people becoming better people because they're taking on our educational videos in terms of how to be physically active on a regular basis? What food combinations do to the body, to the skin, to your breathing? Why is it that I'm waking up in the morning and I'm still tired and I've been sleeping for 8 hours? So for me, the engineering piece is always having the foundational principles there. And how does this work? Where is the balance being? And I think when we start analyzing things like that, I often tell people, is 8 glasses of water a day applicable for everyone? Is that the same for the couch potato as well as the person that's training for a marathon? Does that make sense to you? So to be able to look at things and pick them apart and evaluate based on what makes sense and what doesn't make sense is how you begin to find out what the truth is versus what people are telling you.
Truth versus the makes sense. I love that. So we always like to, sort of close these out, and at WBC, we always talk about what's the call to action, right? So our audience is, individuals, companies, organizations. What's the call to action, right? What can people do to either be more purposeful, be more live with their values, scale their business, take it where you want to take it? Dionne, I want to start with you.
Sure. I think it's, and I probably remind myself, and some days are really hard. In fact, the last few days have been really tough. We've been dealing with some huge challenges, and you have to go back. And I find for me, it's easiest to do it when I'm out on a walk or I'm breathing at the ocean, and you allow your mind to have some clarity, to go back to, why am I doing this? What is this about for me? And what's the impact I'm making? In what I'm doing, and what's the reason to keep going? Because sometimes I don't think any of us as entrepreneurs will ever tell you that this is an easy journey. If it's easy, then there's something's something's not right, because there's I have this saying, it's not the challenge you face, it's how you face the challenge. Um, and I think it's really going into yourself sometimes and taking a moment to reflect. And your Dallas was talking about the why. And there's no other time other than when you're facing a challenge that you got to go dig deep and really figure out, what am I doing this for? And that karma that's going to radiate from you and attract people to you. And we need to go there. We need to stay real and humble. And for me, that's something I do on a regular basis. And right now it's challenging, and I'm having to do that a lot. So yeah, that for me, that's where I need to go.
And mine is very similar. I believe that I did a podcast with Andy Simon on yesterday, and her podcast is Off the Brink. And my definite to take away was to carve out that time off the brink. And for me, every day I have to get up early, 3:30, 4:30, and I love to walk outside amongst the trees, the water, and just, listen to me and my thoughts for a moment. But my ethos in life has always been that I am okay if at the end of every day someone has benefited from me being alive. I used to do a lot of work with the sick and shut in, and there would literally be people that were in an incapacitated state forever. And are we just taking up space like these individuals, or are we doing something that makes a difference? And our business can't define us. It can't be the all in all. So you have to have that balance. And at the end of the day, if we're making an impact in someone else's lives, whether it's through our business or just us being good people, then that's going to keep you grounded, and that's going to make you be okay in life, whether your business is making the revenue that you want or not. Having an impact on others and being intentional about that every day.
That impact is so important. Well, that's all we have time. So thank you both for today and for everything we do together, and being able to have these conversations, not just on the LinkedIn Live, but at other events. And to the audience, we invite you to wbcollaborative.org, where you can learn more about our work to not just increase women in the C-suite and boardroom, but to address the underrepresentation of women in STEM and address the available capital for women. You've got 2 women who are growing revenues rapidly, but to advance a pipeline of women leaders that bring not just gender equity and diversity, but purpose, value, and impact to the business landscape. So join us weekly to keep up to date on our progress in the movement for gender equity, and follow us on social media at wbcollaborative.org on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and have a wonderful Thursday. Thank you both.
Thank you.